Well, like I was telling you on the phone earlier too, like I don't know if I've had enough time to process it yet or what it is, but Michael Masters' hypothesis of this extraterrestrial time traveler idea is just the most compelling thing that I've read on this subject, because there's so many pieces of the puzzle that fit, right? Like you have them caring about the planet, Rua, Zimbabwe, communicating to these kids that they need to protect the planet and watch out for technology. Like future humans have a huge stake in this planet. Way more so, I would imagine, than some sort of extraterrestrial from another star system would. Number one. Number two, he's an anthropologist. He understands human evolution, understands how rare we are on Earth. There's over 2 million cataloged species of animals on this Earth. 20 of them are hominids. One of the 20 is us, making it like we're like 0.00001% of all living species on Earth that are upright walking hominids, and we're the ones that were able to create technology that could leave the planet. Now, I think all of the other Goldilocks planets that we're aware of that can inhabit life, they have different atmospheres, way different gravity. Some are binary star systems, meaning that the way life develops there is so much different than life develops here, meaning that it would be almost probably safe to say impossible for life to develop to look like us, upright walking hominids with 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, 2 forward facing eyes with the brain that sits directly on top of the head, especially when you account for the fact that most of those planets that exist, they're Goldilocks planets, are water worlds. So like the fact that these things care about the planet, they look so similar to us. And he looked at hominids from millions of years ago and basically extrapolated to where we are now, how we've evolved from early chimpanzees. And he extrapolated that out into the future and said, we will, fully grown adults, way out in the future, will look like the offspring of our offspring right now. It's a term called pedomorphism, where basically newborn, if you look at our ancestors, like if you look at early chimps, newborn chimps, they look like human children today. But when the chimps evolve, or when they grow up and they become adults, their head goes back, slopes back, the mouth comes out, comes forward like that. And if you extrapolate, our future descendants, maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of years from now, fully grown, will look like our children today. Mm-hmm. This is coming from a biological anthropologist. So it's super compelling to me, this idea. You don't seem convinced though.
Well, bears spend an awful lot of time on 2 legs, way more than people think, walking upright. I've seen it, and
yeah, but not
anyway. Well, I know it's just I don't know. I try not to. I think the most important thing, because hey, this species could have evolved here. Mm-hmm. That's possible. Mm-hmm. Could be time travel. I'm not excluding anything. Mm-hmm. I've heard so many ideas pitched, and I think it's great. We need to do that, absolutely. But the most important thing for me and a lot of other people is let's just admit that they're here first. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where they're from. Right. We'll figure that out. Mm-hmm. And we need as many scientists like Michael. I think I've met him a few times. Yeah. Michael Masters. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And everyone is. I mean, geez, there's so many people that are just doing incredible work. Yeah.
And there's also like so many of these abduction accounts talk about extracting eggs from women, sperm from men, even like the aliens having sex with the abductees, like with Whitley Strieber's account or David Huggins. You're familiar with David Huggins, right? He's a guy. Yeah. He's in Hoboken, New Jersey. Wild shit like that. You would almost like, the first time I ever became aware of any of this was watching David Huggins' documentary that Brad Abrams made, and I was just like, this guy's nuts.
Right.
right?
Right.
That's your reaction to it.
Of course it is.
I lost my virginity to an alien with huge tits. And he drew these paintings, these amazing paintings. I need to buy one of his paintings.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
But like they all have to do with reproduction. Yeah. Right. And if you look at the direction the human race is going right now with sperm count, with testosterone levels, with the development of technology and our foods being more processed and pesticides, monocrop agriculture being like with, Monsanto and all these companies basically just like laying these fields with all these pesticides that are people are getting cancer from them. It's like dropping fertility rates, the plastics, the microplastics and everything comes in plastic. Yeah. And these microplastics are how Dr. Shauna Swan came in here and she described how since we've been testing testosterone levels and sperm count levels since the 50s. And since the 50s, they've been dropping 1 to 2% every year. And if you look at the drop in birth rates now, I mean, it's not just the biology of it, but it's also the culture of it. Now women are getting careers and they don't want to have children when they're young anymore. We're becoming more and more homogenized and domesticated as a species. And if you take this and you extrapolate this into the future with the more technology evolves and just the way this world is going right now, there's no way to turn that ship around. So if just like go with the theory that it is future humans for a second, then you take in the account of any sort of natural cosmic cataclysm or a nuclear exchange that could happen that would severely destroy a huge part of the human population, and people would be forced, inbreeding would happen in that case, and it would severely bottleneck our gene pool. Sure. So if hypothetically in the future this happened and we were able to figure out backward time travel, wouldn't we want to send, maybe not biological beings, but maybe we would want to send genetically created 3D printed robots back in time to harvest specimens, semen from our ancestors to try to diversify the gene pool of the future if it is being bottlenecked by something like this? That hypothesis, I mean, I know it's a stretch, but the hypothesis makes
complete sense.
It's
It's a great hypothesis. I mean, our planet's in trouble, period. We're it doesn't matter. Like, if they were, I'll just make an argument. What if they are traveling back to the future? They're a little late. They should have done that. I mean, from the future, they're a little late because we're in more and more serious trouble. But you also have to understand another species, and this is also theoretical or speculative. They may be looking at us like we do when I spent a lot of time in Africa with primatologists and all these other wildlife people and organizations, and they monitor the wildlife. They care about them. Mm-hmm. They care for them to a certain level, and then when they get out of hand or their environment starts to suffer from too many elephants, so to speak, they mow forests down. You would not believe the destruction. So then elephants
do?
Yeah. Oh. They devastate an area, and then what they have to do is they'll shut that area off and move them into a whole nother area. We're talking sometimes millions of acres. They'll shut off a quarter of it and let it regrow,
right?
Because the elephants have devastated it. And then they cull them to keep them, their populations to a certain. When a species overpopulates, you start to get more disease. So anyway, I just see it that. I think we're just in a very critical place in our planets, and I think maybe another species like we do values this place for maybe us, but it's probably not just us. There's millions and millions of other species, and maybe there's not a lot of that out there. Plus, we're a resource. We have a lot of resources here, chemical, genetic, just a ton.
Yeah.
So I don't know. again, I think that we have to just realize that it's happening at all before we can really start to get to.